Jesse Matthews back here live alongside Evans Clinchy.
Yo.
And we are joined by another of our fabulous remote commentary team. This time it is Weibin from Singapore. Hello.
Hi, Jesse, and hi, Evan. Welcome.
Hello, hello.
Welcome. I feel quite welcome. Well,
I was going to say, welcoming us to our own broadcast. Amazing.
yeah, welcoming you guys to your own broadcast. Oh my goodness, I am. Yeah, it's pretty late here, but yeah, it's quite an exciting game actually. I actually don't know Thomas very well, but I mean I've seen him and his brother on Twitch chat quite a bit. Yeah, but I don't think is this like actually their first Collins tournament or something that they're playing in?
My understanding is one of the Reinkes plays Collins primarily, and the other one plays TWL primarily.
I think they're both moving in
Are they
the
both?
Collinsy
Okay.
direction. We had a tournament, a cocoa event in Wisconsin where those guys live about a month ago, and I believe Thomas won that one. So he's getting some experience.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah, and we quickly see an exchange from Thomas. He exchanged, I think, OOOLU or something. That
Yes.
probably is.
I wrote down his rack just in
very
case.
sound. Yes.
Let me just quickly change that score from 0-0 to 0-0.
And David Webb seems to have favored, but he seems to have missed it.
So he played Fovea, keeping D blank.
Oh,
Yeah. Possibly thinking, well, not thinking of the American spelling.
spelling. It's not proper to have the U in there.
Yes, maybe a little too quick in that game, in that move. And we see that now Thomas has the blank. You can see some sevens, and Fovea actually takes an E hook behind, so he can make use of that. I don't see anything from the A at the moment.
Ooh, there is one double through the O for 86. Who can spot it?
It was
There's one double
that
double.
Already
already.
spot it.
Yeah.
Y'all are good at this.
Yeah, geologger.
Yeah,
Ooh.
geologer,
Very nice.
like a geology person.
Right.
Oh, yeah, the chat, the bot has the definition. There we go.
And people are pointing at, of course, egg. Defogger has been pointed out as well, although less good. Yeah, it's still a nice spot. And over eggs. Very nice. To exaggerate absurdly. Love it. Exaggerate. Yes, yes. It would appear as though Thomas's exchange worked out pretty well for him.
Well, he picked up the egg. He picked up the egg after the change, so it's not sure if it's considered an exchange.
He was he was projecting the exchange and literally got the eggs back.
Yeah. Are we updating the scores or?
My bad,
Yeah.
I'm on it. 30-0.
Okay.
I was doing pairings and didn't pay attention, but yeah, 30-0.
Yeah, I can always do that automated thing.
An update on the standings. Dave Wiegand and Jeff Teveno both won last round. They are now 2 games clear of the field. First place, Wiegand at 8-1. Second place, Teveno at 8-1. Third place, David Webb at 6-3, 2 games back.
Yeah, and Thomas
So
is also 6-3, so 2 of our top contenders.
And we got Dave and Jeff. We're going to play each other on board 1 next round. So that's going to be fun. That'll be a repeat because we saw them yesterday. But this time it's a repeat that's intentional and it's not our pairings being broken.
Yeah.
Because those guys are clear of the field. They got to play each other again.
So it looks like Thomas has opted for
Regorge.
Yeah.
With the R as second R as a blank. That's a slight point sacrifice, I suppose.
Yeah, it's more than slight. It's 12 points less than Geologer.
Yeah, well, it scores the same as Defogger, so
Yeah.
I suppose he missed Geologer.
And as is pointed out in the chat, Samoyeds is now available as a double-double since it was not taken.
That's yours as well, but the scores less because of the blank R.
All right, looks like there was a challenge, so +5. Okay.
Yeah, so I guess playing Regorge over Defogger has that slight advantage. I think Regorge is slightly less obscure, slightly more obscure.
Yeah.
It's an interesting definition for regorge, because disgorge is the word that I know more commonly.
It's weird that the re and the dis are synonyms and not opposites.
Yes. Engorge, yes, Mitch, I know that one as well, but in a very different context.
All right, calm down.
So it looks like David Webb is taking his time to spot his varying options here.
So there's 2 double doubles. There's through the O, Samoyeds, and through the U, or through the R, excuse me, Daziers. Yeah.
Yeah,
These are the only one.
He's lost some tempo with the first move, though. I mean, he could have. I think he played that a bit too quickly, maybe.
Yeah.
But well, thankfully he has double doubles available, so he won't be behind on score.
With Thomas's rack of AGIINRW, there's only one possible 8. Wonder if anybody in chat can find that one.
It's a blank H, right?
That is correct. Blank H.
Yeah.
Nice play.
Yeah.
Well, I might not think that there's only one, so I'll probably like spend a lot of time thinking about like through the G or something. But I don't think so. In this kind of scenario, I guess you're just gonna be spending, lots of time just running through every letter. I guess if you see Samoyeds, then it's fairly obvious. But the problem is that, you might want to spend a bit more time just to think in case there's another play that doesn't expose as many triple letter scores. Samoyeds actually, it opens up the A and the E. That might not be too ideal. Yeah, but it's just too many points.
I think at this early stage of the game, I wouldn't be worried so much about the worst case scenario with the X. Later on, I could see it. I'm not sure on the second turn I would be as concerned, but yes, absolutely, it is a potential worst case response.
Yeah, there is another one open already at the O of Regorge. So, and there are plenty of other scoring opportunities available. So I wouldn't be too worried myself. Yeah. I guess he was just being extra cautious.
Nice find.
And he plays the highest scoring play. So interesting time for Thomas. He has his rack lined up. He has weight lined up.
Presumably alongside Samoyeds.
Yes. And he has another, he has Diwani, but not quite the right spelling of Diwani there. Yeah, probably, in this scenario, it's just playing something that gets rid of W and I. Besides weight, I might also consider maybe just WAI, potentially. Because the D is actually useful for regorge, and weight also takes an E back hook. So that might be something I'll think about. But I think playing the D is probably pretty good as well.
Ultimately, Wade. And that cue draw for David Webb messed with his otherwise great mojo for that post bingo draw.
Yeah, you need the U for requinto.
Yeah.
So interesting. Would you guys play Wade or would you guys play like WAI?
I think it's close, but I would lean toward Wade. Just it's a little too content heavy, the DINR. But like I said, I think it's close.
I think because you have the S already, Wade is fine. I'd consider the D.
Oh, he picked up the S.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking away. My bad. Never mind. Way I think is better because there wasn't an S then in that case. I think I like, as much as yes, it's consonant heavy. I think without the S, since I was looking a little late, sorry. I think Way is better than Wade personally, even if it is consonant heavy.
Yeah, so we have a slight difference in views, I guess, between the three commentators, among the three commentators. Yeah, I guess David's play seems fairly, I mean, it's just getting rid of the Q somewhere. That's my guess. And there seems to be one good spot for it, just playing QI.
Yep, the top left seems reasonable.
Yeah. So the thing is, in this scenario, I mean, just to share like what a lot of players at this level are thinking about, between something like QI and placing the extra N, you're also kind of thinking of trying to leave good letters for your next, I mean, something that's really bingo prone. And I think the N really helps that rec as well. TORE versus TONER. So it's a slight point sacrifice, but your letters are that much better. And you actually maximize your chances of getting a bingo the next turn. Yeah, in some scenarios it makes sense to place the N, but in other scenarios, I think in this case it's just like it's just a few more points, 4 more points, I think.
And David has Montero on his rack. Whether it would go, actually, at the moment with Wade on the board, it would go down. Montero goes over there.
Yeah, but Thomas is probably going to block it with relink.
Yeah,
that seems to be lined up on his rack. Well, he can't play something like rank, hooking onto EWK as well, or NERC. But relink, I think, is quite a nice option. David now has remotion. So I think, yeah, he's probably going to spot that. Montero's was actually slightly harder to spot, I think.
And yes, non-metro. I've gotten to play that one before. Nice little spot there.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Oh, nice.
I actually got challenged on that one a long time ago playing it. It was very satisfying.
Nice.
So all the re-ink and relink and well, I was thinking of rank also, but somewhat similar. All the rink puns.
Yes. Thomas Rank, yeah. Thomas has drawn a bingo, but it's a totally asinine one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who's the rankers of the rank? The Rink brothers.
The rankest. Nice. Are we talking rankest as in they're highest in the rankings, or like the other rank?
Does rank mean smelling bad? No.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's an unpleasant smell technically.
Okay,
as an older use of the word.
Yeah, it means it's a dialect for unpleasant, horrible. Oh, it's remotion is going on the board.
And that will leave a spot for asinine or insane-y.
A better spot, I guess.
Yeah.
It wasn't really playable.
Oh yeah, the R, duh, thank you. Another R, you're right. Charles is the NWL brother. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. One of them is primarily more Collins leaning and the other NWL leaning.
Nah, they're both Collinsy. Everyone who's anyone is these days? Is that what I'm trying to say? What's the expression? Everyone who's anyone. Yeah. Yeah, pre-motion, that's a word. Jucko. All right, so remotion comes down and it's 218 to 133. Let me update that score.
Yeah, so what's better now, SN9 or Insany? SN9 seems to open fewer vowels, I guess.
But Insany slots the S further down where you're not giving away easy 7s plus S at the end for 8s. So I guess it depends on what you're thinking there.
Yeah, but I guess he's also behind by like 80 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably wants that S open.
Yeah, so the one tricky thing about this, about Wade, is that it does not take an S hook. So, yeah, against certain players, some people like to dangle words that don't take an S. But I think Wade is a fairly common, I mean, most people know that. A lot of top players know that it doesn't take an S. Yeah, but still sometimes it's useful to bait your opponents in that way.
Asinine comes down.
Yeah, I probably would have taken Asinine myself.
Me too. I like it.
And now the question is, what will David play?
Rewax is pretty strong.
Where does Rewax go?
On RE off of Asinine.
Oh, okay.
He's got Jaxie for 53, making Wade with an E.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
I saw Jaxie,
Yeah,
but
wait, there we go.
yeah, I saw Jaxie, but
If you want to take out that triple, there's Vixen available.
keeps V and W.
Yeah. Vixen would keep Jaw, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's not bad, I think. Kind of closes that part of the board. Yeah, pretty well. Jaxie I think Jaxie gives a lot of potential for responses, but it's just a lot of points to pass up.
I mean, if you get that spot yourself, you could have Va or Val and, score 40 next turn. 41 maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe your opponent's forced to play somewhere else for some reason.
Yeah, possible. And if you pick the O, you have Val on, well, besides Samoyeds, which is still a decent score.
So the Simpsons is pretty close between all three of these plays, Vixen, Jaxie, and Rewax. The best one by far defensively is Vixen. Your opponent scores about 5 points less after you play Vixen. For obvious reasons with the wide open triple.
Jaxie's coming down.
Jaxie's 53 points right now. So that's pretty good as well. Yeah, he'll take 3 instead of 45 and be happy with it.
Well, I mean, well, I don't like the V and W leave. Sometimes it's just you have he has 4 clunky tiles, so just getting rid of 2 of them helps.
Yeah, I mean, it's got some merits to it. Like if you're not going to bingo anyway, you might as well keep some potent scoring tiles like the V and the W.
That was kind of why I liked Rewax as much as it was fewer points, because Jive, you're able to literally manage it next turn. But Jaxie is really strong. I mean, I'm not going to stick to Rewax solidly, but that was my logic for it, is you're leaving yourself options. VW here leaves a worst case draw nightmare scenario.
Yeah, if I were playing Blitz, I think I would play Jaxie in a heartbeat, but yeah, I'm not sure.
Looks like Thomas is looking at Bound through the end, taking out that triple and scoring 30 points. Looks pretty intuitive.
He's also thinking of Dobu, which is not a word. Well, I mean, anything that goes beneath Jaxie would probably be a strong candidate for the best play.
Yeah, he's looking at Dub for 31 under Jaxie, I think.
Yeah, because that spot is just a lot of points if you can play something that overlaps 3 letters underneath Jaxi.
Yep.
Just a lot of points. So
Yeah.
you really have
Thomas said he
to.
gets 31 for Dob, and if David takes it, he's going to get like. Oh, he doesn't have an A or an O for Val or Val.
Yeah,
Oh, interesting.
he has wealth, lots of wealth.
All of the love. Looks like Marlon was Team Vixen for the last turn.
Yeah, I do like Vixen. Controls the situation better, I guess. But I guess the thing about well, it might not really be a Collins thing, but I think in at least in the games that I play nowadays, I realize that just maintaining a good score and not sometimes I think doesn't help to think too much about like being defensive and all that. Sometimes it's very difficult to prevent scores nowadays. Yeah, that's just my kind of observation.
Yeah, I think with Vixen and then Rewax as the other two plays, I think where they differ from Jaxi is I think they both have built-in prevention of total worst-case scenarios, whereas like Jaxi obviously scores more, but that VW leave is gross to have to handle the next turn a lot of the time. So I don't know if it's, I think it's not always so much about defensive against the other player, but defensive against ways that your rack and your next turn could possibly go wrong. I'm thinking is
Yeah, okay.
that.
So Merva from David Webb, which just happens to block the PSI hook, which I think Thomas was saving for the next turn by his choice of bound. So he has something like Pupil, yeah, which he arranges on his rack. Right beside 5 tile overlap beside Asinine.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good score. I mean, it kind of closes up the board a little. So he.
If you want to swing the board wide open, he's got Applaud.
Oh, okay.
Applaud is 36 and just forks things wide open.
Wow, that's a very nice. Yeah, that's a very nice play. Applaud is very nice.
If you're down by 60, you don't make that. You do make that play maybe, but if you're up by 60, you never would. So it's an interesting positional choice here for Thomas whether he wants to go crazy with it.
Yeah, it's really a lot of risk though. I think Applaud.
Yes.
Because the A is just dangling right there.
And he goes for Pupil at the end of the day, which is definitely lots of points.
Yeah. And interestingly for David Webb, I mean, he has a 6 plus an S, but the 6 doesn't take an S.
Yeah, no Frowies.
Yeah, so he has Frowies, but only Frowiest and Frowsier are good. So those are the only 2 8s as well.
Oh, nice.
Don't worry, I didn't say that from memory.
We're all cheating here.
No. Big now.
Joe among in chat says, "You call this the end of the day? It's like noon in Naperville."
It's true, but it is very
It
late
is
in Singapore.
noon exactly, 12:00. Meanwhile, it's like ungodly late in Singapore.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, interesting whether you want to choose to kind of use the S right now or maybe keep it for the future. At the moment, there's one blank, 2 blanks on the board, 2 S's, 3 S's. Oh, so that's basically the only S.
You've got the case S, yeah.
Yeah.
So that relinks hook is exclusively yours.
Yeah. So maybe it's worth just playing something like Frau or something besides Samoyeds.
Yeah, you could just play OW. I mean, Fires is a pretty interesting stem to fish with.
Yeah, that's true as well.
The pool is full of A's and E's and T's you can draw. They'll go really well with fires.
Yeah,
Usually
he,
see
yeah,
something
he does play that.
Prince,
Yes,
yeah.
very nice.
And he is going to play OW. I love it. I think it's a great play.
Yeah,
Thomas's is pretty straightforward next year. He's got Gatch lined up already.
Dr. Gatch.
yeah. To what extent is Scrabble a gotcha game? Never mind.
Yes, I do want fries with that. Thank you for asking me that. I tend to want fries with that.
Yeah, usually it's that's a pretty good choice is to go for the fries. Although last night we had pretty underwhelming fries at the brewery we're at.
I thought the fries were just fine at the. Okay, whatever. We can debate this later. People didn't like the fries at that place.
Further down into each of the fry containers, they were okay, but at the top they left some to be desired. The burgers and the cheese curds were amazing, but the fries I thought were just
So the interesting thing about Thomas's, how he's arranged his rack now, it seems like he might have just reacted to what David played, which is just 2 letters, 2 tiles. So he might be thinking of playing something like wretch instead to kind of restrict the S hook on relink. He may, I'm not sure whether that's what he's thinking. I probably still think Gatch is still superior overall, but he might be thinking of trying to add something to that line and make it slightly harder for David to play something through, something hooking on the S onto relinks. It would be an inference, I guess. I mean that he has an S.
It's unfortunate because if he does not play Wretch, there's no bingo for David. But if he does play Wretch, he's going to get back Fiercest. So the ironic thing is that
Yes.
by blocking, he's actually going to open a bingo.
And I think the other thing with Gatch is if he does put that down and then David Webb were to play a bingo, that would give him a potential side lap in response. So I don't know if I would go for Wretch necessarily because it's kind of conceding ground, but he does, and that will give David a bingo back.
Ooh, you hate to see it. Or you love to see it if you're on
Well,
Team David Webb.
David loves to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for Wretch, probably just a 2-letter fish somewhere.
Yeah.
Play FE or something. I don't know.
Which would give Thomas a chance to come back potentially and maybe even keep up with a bingo of his own after.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, basically I like Gatch because in a perfect world where David had a bingo anyway, Thomas would have had a chance to play one in response, but now he almost certainly would not if he doesn't get one on this turn next to Merva. So this will be very interesting. Alec points out you hate to see it with the C in,
well
in
played,
quotes.
sir.
Very good. I am a fan.
So David is taking a think here, but I'm guessing it's just a check for better bingos. He has just the one.
Yeah. Well, just one random thing which I spotted just now on the OW turn. David Webb actually had 4 paws through the PA. Yeah, which
Ooh, yeah.
yeah, but I just thought that it would have been very interesting if he had played 4 paw dangling the S. The S hook. Yeah, but it's a terrible play, but would have been so
4 paw for 17 points, yeah.
yeah. Oh, he might be missing
Ooh,
fiercest.
that's not the
Ooh,
play he
okay.
got.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to play Fiest.
Which is still a lot of points,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. But I guess the thing is if you don't see fiercest, then the S is not very particularly useful in this position. So maybe just get the score. Yeah, it's a unfortunate miss though.
Yeah, it's a good point about the S, like with the line of logic there, because on the left side next to the M, if you were to get a bingo their next turn, the S would not be at the bottom of the word. It would be further up, so not as meaningful. So that's a fair point.
Yeah, but he does maintain quite a sizable lead. I mean,
Yeah.
a bingo lead. So interesting. Not sure if Thomas will play. Oh, what's going on? I think the play was probably held for a bit. Yeah.
So he's perhaps thinking of like feisty. Maybe he's thinking like along those lines, because with feisty, for example, you would have EI instead.
Well, we were talking earlier about being new to Collins. I think Fias is Collins only, so Thomas might
It
not
is.
have known it.
It's not in North America for sure.
Yeah, looks like a challenge indeed. All right, so +5 for David Webb, putting him at 368. Let me get that edited. There we go. So it's a 72-point lead now for David Webb over Thomas Reinke.
I think it's comparative, right? Fires, but a fire also takes an S.
Oh yeah, why would that? Huh.
Well, I know. Is it the French definition? Interesting. I'm gonna type that in the chat.
And fires has it has a hook, obviously.
Yeah, so I see Jocko in chat pointing out that if there are any words that are spelled bound blank a blank, you can make an extension making fiesta. Unfortunately, there are no words spelled bound blank a blank. We'll just check for that. That would have been really cool.
Yeah, so now I think Thomas has really got to think about whether he wants to kind of play on column 2 now, because that kind of gives David a chance to play something to the triple word score and just seal off that line.
Yeah, and it's the last realistic remaining one, unless you have less common 9s with cue ball there.
Yeah.
You consider like UGH? UGH?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, UG there, but I think he does spot UH there, which is very nice. Kind of fits in the middle of things a little bit.
So U, and yeah. There you go.
Keeps the hope alive, I think, or keeps that line alive, and there's a slight outside chance of playing something to the C, I guess. The C of Wretch. Yeah, but I think other than that, I would probably be thinking of trying to open up something along or close to pupil, something that opens up some horizontal lines. Yeah, but I think, I guess another thing that maybe needs to be said is that actually at this stage, I mean, it's the score line is he probably needs a bingo, but it's also wrong to assume that you must have a bingo.
Yeah.
So I've been in some situations where I've had a high scoring play, and sometimes because you think too much of trying to get a bingo, and you kind of don't see that some of these plays. Yeah, so I think that's a common mistake that a lot of people make. You just keep thinking that you need a bingo, you need to keep your lines open, but actually you don't see that you have I mean, not in this case, but in some cases, like you have like a 40-point, 50-point play that brings you much closer, and then you actually don't need a bingo to win.
Yeah. So in this case, one of the issues as well is exactly as you pointed out, you don't necessarily have to bingo to make the gap smaller, if not take it away, because Thomas has Zari on the next turn on top of Fauvier. And given David's rack right now of all 1-pointers, unless he's deliberately trying to take away high-scoring non-bingo options, it's pretty likely to stay open. So I'm really interested to see what David Webb's going to do. Because to me, Thomas is almost certainly playing Zari or something similar on the neck.
Yeah.
I see Ricky in chat asking how many tiles in the bag. That would be 12. So pretty getting pretty close to the pre-end game here.
Even Zar below Jack C. I mean, it's a good score, and it keeps one vowel. I mean, Zari plays off all your vowels. So
yeah, I mean, like obviously, if you keep a vowel in this case, that's more ideal. Absolutely. Just pointing out there's 2 high-scoring options that aren't bingos necessarily. So something really interesting now as far as how that goes. And what do you do if you're David? Because if you're looking at possible things your opponent has, you are looking for things like Za that's a little bit more apparent. But then if you do see the potential of both Za and Zari, then he's got to really start thinking about how he can keep his lead, because he would consider that his opponent no longer needs a bingo necessarily to come back in the game. So it makes this next move of his, where he can't really score that much realistically, it makes it quite interesting.
All right, we're getting a request for the unseen tile pool in chat. I'm going to put that up for you right now. It's getting there in a second.
QPR suggests Olia or lean along Asinine. Yeah, those are both looking pretty reasonable here to continue to maintain a sizable lead.
Yeah, and it also blocks bingos into the C.
Yeah.
I like lean, 27 points. The pool is a little bit consonant heavy, so EOR is just fine as a lead because you're going to draw more consonants.
Lewis suggests Irene next to Asinine.
Yeah, similar idea.
Yeah.
That works too.
I think the nice thing with Irene is it also uses up one more tile. So getting you that tiny bit closer to the end of the game. David's lined up lean, so he's considering that at the moment.
Yeah, this looks like a solid choice.
Yeah, I like not playing too many vowels in this turn. Just playing two is fine, I think.
Yeah, and that's what he'll do at the end of the day, is put down lean. Nicely scoring.
I see a lot of discussion in chat of bingos in column 2. I think you're going to lose even if you do bingo in column 2. Your bingo is going to score so little, and your opponent's comeback is going to score so much on column 1. At this score, you're probably just going to lose. But we'll see. All right, so he does choose lean? Okay. 395 to 329.
Yeah, I think he needs to get a Z score first and then do something else, get a bingo after that. But his lines are very limited now.
Yeah, I think Colin was saying you play Za, you hope to draw AE for a bridge and brigade. That's your dream scenario.
Oh, you can also play Zari and hope for a bridge and brigade.
Sorry, though.
Yeah, so he's considering Zari for a second here, but one thing you want to permute as well after a play like lean is considering the pool. Obviously, you don't have omniscience in this case, but you can't really infer as much. Like one of the things with Irene, if you were to play that, is you would infer a lot more vowels in your opponent's rack. With lean, you can really only assume there's some reasonable balance of at least one vowel and one consonant, and it's kind of chalked up in the air for the other one on the opponent's rack. So Zari, yeah, that leaves, yeah, the leaves not as nice, definitely, but I can see it. It's more points.
Oh, he almost, dirtbag. He does have a playable bingo.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, what a draw.
Beautiful draw. So
wow.
Dirtbag and Am and Goo.
He was almost going to draw a bridge, but but I guess, wow.
This is getting interesting.
And well, Dave has a very nice rack as well. So the question is whether, I mean, he can actually just play something to block that line, I guess, like the C's, Cone, beside Merva.
Yeah, Cone is very nice. There's 5 in the back, so Cone would leave 1.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably what I would do.
Yeah, Cone is really nice.
Yeah, probably just think whether there's Aerolith on the board. I mean, Aerolith, like, maybe there's, besides Aerolith, what other bingos there are to the H. But I think it's just a matter of probability, right? Just trying to play, block as many bingos as you can and leave the bag. Well, you can actually even empty the bag, I think, so that your opponent doesn't, like play something like Opal and open the final line.
There are a lot of bingos in the pool through the H. There's Regolith, there's Aerolith, there's Daylight, Bolthead. There's a lot.
Okay.
But not super likely.
T-Light, I guess. Yeah.
Now, if you're David, what do you do?
I think cone is great though. It gives you the best probability of preventing bingos, even if it's not 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's either cone or just emptying, because if I empty, like it just stops my opponent from having any chances at fishing for anything if he doesn't have anything. I mean, if he bingos, I'd probably lose anyway.
I mean, fishing is never going to work because he's not going to fish for a bingo that plays in 2 spots. And if it only plays in 1 spot, you just block it. Like, I think you're probably fine.
It's really interesting thinking situationally here as well, because one other difference, when I am assuming both players' point of view for a second here, is if you just put down Za, yes, it scores, but Za versus Zari, you can almost, it almost looks like you're grooming your rack a bit more with a play like Za. Zari does not really look like a grooming play at all. It just looks like something you're going for points. So if you're not immediately thinking block, I think you're more likely to block after a play like Za versus Zari, because considering the pool, Zari just doesn't look like you're grooming your rack one turn away from a bingo the same way Za does to me.
I mean,
He is playing
you know
cone.
your opponent wants to bingo
Yeah.
though. Like it's
Yeah,
kind
you
of the name of the game at this point.
But he's making the safe play, which I think is the
Yeah,
right thing to do.
cone is great.
Yeah.
I think I like cone. Yeah.
So he has dirt bag. Does he think that it takes an H? No, just kidding. It's because bag age is
Yeah, dirt bag H.
yeah, so dirt bag age.
Going for the Gaelic spelling. PH things at the end of everything.
All right, updating the score and the tile pool. Score is 413, 375, a 38-point deficit for Thomas Reinke with 1 in the bag.
So a very
Dirt bag.
well, kind of improbable draw, dirt bag, but very sadly blocked.
You hate to
But I think he did the right thing to block it anyway.
You got to think of the only ways you can lose, and most often, and that would be the ways you would lose, as if there was a magical pull. So I think it's the right call.
Yeah.
There's just many more ways that you could have things work to your favor with that column. Then yeah, you can still draw 8s to the H, but probabilistically speaking, especially after a play like Zari and given the pool, yeah, blocking that is the right thing to do.
Yeah. I suppose, I mean, going back to like whether you play cone or something longer, I was thinking like maybe if Thomas had set up something like Opal, like he plays 1 letter there and then somehow he draws something which plays in 2 spots. Yeah, but I mean you need to actually run through the words and actually see whether there's anything that does play in 2 spots. Yeah, but that's one kind of horror scenario, and I think even if that happens, maybe David can still survive. I'm not sure. Yeah, but now I think we're just trying to play the pre-end game the best that we can. I don't think Thomas has any way of getting back into this.
Yeah, I think Quackle says that Thomas is just losing, but there was one play that Championship Player said was 1 of 8, but I think that's just Quackle being nonsense. I'm just checking all the end games, but I think there's just nothing here for Thomas. Quackle claimed that playing Rid in the top right, making Pally, was 1 out of 8, but I think I just permuted the end games and that's not true. I don't see how keeping BAGT could possibly lead to a victory for Thomas there. I think Quackle's just being screwy.
It's not like magical 11 or 12 or something that it's looking for.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it's doing. Maybe chat can enlighten me.
Jeremy asks, has there been a stream game that came down to the end game? We've had a handful of close ones. I don't know if it was end game, but I think it came down to pre-end game in a couple of cases.
Well, yeah, the very first game of the tournament between Chris Lipe and Moise Lebeg was awesome. I mean, it was a pre-end game, like how do I stop my opponent from bingoing kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's been a true end game, like bag empty, count the scores of the plays and that kind of end game.
Yeah. Not a classic end game.
But I mean, me personally, I think pre-end games are more interesting than end games. There's just so many permutations you got to think about. They're really fascinating.
Yeah, we've had a few pre-end games, definitely, but no like classic end game streamed game yet.
And Git goes on the board.
Yeah, totally fair.
Is that a G? Is it Gid? Okay,
Gid, yeah.
Yes.
Looks like Thomas is just losing, but Gid is fine as it's red play.
Yeah, so now the question is, what's the best out sequence for David Webb?
I'm looking at Thomas's rack, and I'm thinking of Paul Blart, the Mall
I
Cop.
thought of Paul Blart Cop too. One of the worst movies America has ever made.
And the worst part is, I think there was actually a sequel. I think there was more than one
You're
Paul Blart
unfortunately
movie.
probably right.
I have not watched either, and I have no plans on doing so, but Blart just stands out as one of those words. And yes, Blart is actually, in fact, a verb.
So just over 2 minutes left here for David Webb, not a lot of time. It's probably, to the players in the moment right now, not 100% obvious that David is just winning here. Like, we have the omniscience that we have, and we have the computers that we have and all of that. But if you're sitting there in the room, only up by 11 points, it probably feels pretty tense.
Yeah. This is one of those where if you but of time you think, okay, as long as I make a valid move, I win, is probably kind of like where you get to if you take a little bit of time on David's side.
I mean, my thought is that, yeah, probably you win, but you just don't do anything extremely bad, like don't phone me or don't. And I think, I mean, if you might lose a bit on the spread if you don't play a perfect endgame, but I don't think you're going to lose the game most of the time. Yeah, I mean, most of the things you do. So Thomas seems to be recounting the scores for Cone.
You know what? He's got just under 2.5 minutes. This is an excellent thing to do as well, is if you're not sure, like, again, we have omniscience of all the letters. We know the scores correctly because of Quackle, but checking for any potential human error in scores, that makes a difference in what could be a much closer endgame. So definitely worth making sure it's absolutely correct, because you could very much change the way you play depending on a scoring mistake.
Yeah.
It's so easy to misscore by 10 or something similar to that in some cases with a really small arithmetic error. So definitely worth checking when you have that bit of time left.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if Thomas is thinking of playing Bound Lar. Just
more lined up like that, yeah.
Yeah, or something like that. Bound Bar, maybe. Bound Bet. Yeah, making Fiesta. But I mean, could be a way of trying to steal a win. But in this, I think it's maybe. I suppose David will probably challenge it. Depends on the scoreline.
So with perfect play, David would win this game by 19, assuming that Thomas plays Blit, which is his best play, and then David goes out.
So he's putting down Blit. Yeah.
And the best play for David is pretty straightforward. He's got Tor and Toe for a whopping 11 points.
So what was the best sequence for David actually in that?
Oh, when he played They?
Yeah.
His best play was loading. And there's a bunch of options that are pretty similar. He can play Your instead of Tor. He can play that first and then keep TET and go out with Tet. Tet parallel to Wade, making Ute. But I mean, a lot of sequences are pretty similar. He's going to win by 19-ish in a lot of cases.
Yeah, okay.
Tor and Toe goes down. That's the end of the game. We'll just get some official final scores here for you.
Yes, sir. It is a 19-point win indeed. The final score is David Webb 448 and Thomas Reinke 429. Nice win for David.
Pretty close at the end there.
One of our closer games we've had on table one in these first 11 or 10 rounds.
Yeah, so I would say this one came down to just solid, rational pre-end game play here, going with Cone to take out the worst case scenario there. Thomas has just pointed out by tapping Cone that he had dirtbag. I can't see what his mouth is saying with the mask on, but I'm almost certain that's what he said.
Of course, yeah. Next we can infer, yeah. Yeah, nice job by David to make some responsible choices in the pre-end game and prevent any sort of disaster scenario like a bingo from Thomas.
And yeah, just for those of you out there who maybe are aspiring, to jump up another level, or are seeing this for the first time, you can see there were some mistakes. Like there was not a perfect game here played by any means. You can see that at the end of the day, David won despite that opening error and not seeing the bingo. So there is the opportunity to recover, even if you do make plays that are not the perfect plays at the beginning. Yeah, sometimes there is a little bit of a luck factor that comes in as well, even if you do not play perfectly. So.
Yeah, I think strategically David made pretty sound choices. On Thomas's end, I think Reg maybe slight. Well, I don't know. I think he had his reasons for playing that over Gatch. Yeah, but it's not. I mean, I think the main thing that you need to avoid is like big strategical errors. That counts for a lot sometimes. Bingos also are important, but not always. Yeah.
I think it would really just be word finding. If we were to categorize anything that could be deemed, an error here, it would just be related to word finding in this case. So just the opening one, of course, maybe Geologer over Regorge just for points. But nothing strategically, really. If you want to look at categorizing mistakes, really more word related personally. Although, to be fair, as is pointed out in the chat, Pupal versus Applaud.
Yeah, that was an interesting choice.
Yeah.
I would love to ask Thomas if he thought about Applaud.
I think that might be the strategic related one as opposed to word finding categorized.
Well, we don't know. He might not have seen Applaud either. So
that's possible.
Yeah.
That could be word finding and thus strategic as a result.